Zacks Rank Buys, stocks with a short-term buy or strong buy recommendation. Now, here are more Zacks Rank Buys. We're looking for more value stock pick ideas, and we're going to do that right now with Tracy Ranick, our value stock strategist at Zacks.com. And you have a couple here who I have never heard of.
Right.
First one, TAL International, TAL, the ticker symbol.
Yes.
Acquires, leases intermodal freight containers and chassis. What are those?
Those are the big shipping containers you see on the large ships that go in and out of the ports that bring goods across the world, essentially. And this is kind of an important area of the market because, you know, during the recession, it really tanked. Global shipping volumes tanked. The containers, nobody needed them for anything.
Right.
So the volumes all were awful. The worst year over year ever on record for last year, for 2009. Mm-hmm. But interestingly, in the middle of last year, the volume started picking up a little bit and customers started leasing more, which is what this company mainly does. And so they started to see a little bit of improvement in the second half of the year and going into the fourth quarter. And so they had a pretty decent fourth quarter. They still saw leasing volumes down year over year. But that was because of what had happened over the course of the year. But they're seeing the recovery, which is the important thing for this kind of company. And so you can actually see in their estimates that those are going up because the analysts are getting a little more bullish on 2010, 2011, because the company is. They actually said in January and February they saw volumes increasing again as their customers are leasing more containers. Mm-hmm. And that's important because the first quarter is always their really slow quarter. So they're seeing a lot of, this is kind of the underlying of the whole global improvement. Also, interestingly, they restarted their dividend, which they had ended abruptly like the year before, which a lot of companies did. Yep. And that's a big deal also because they are paying 25 cents for this quarter, and that's about 5.5% yield, which is pretty substantial. So you got to feel kind of confident if you're starting your dividend. The chart looks, for the 1 year, isn't bad. It came off its low, and then it has been rebounding in the last month or two since they reported their earnings, and those were good and things look up. The stock isn't that expensive. It's trading around 13 times. So this is kind of an interesting story on the rebound here.
All right, and then there is American Italian Pasta Company, AIPC, that you've written about recently. Yes. Produces dry pasta. That's easy enough.
They do. This is also kind of an interesting play on what was happening in the global economy because people stopped eating out, and when they stayed home, they tended to eat, I guess, pasta because,
really?
2009 was a really good year for this company. They saw volumes increasing across the board, and that's kind of an interesting phenomenon that we hadn't really seen before.
Probably because you can buy it for under $1 a pound in some places.
Well, yeah, it's cheap, and most people like it in some form. They actually make 10 of their own brands, some of which many people have heard of, like Mrs. Grass and Pennsylvania Dutch, and they also supply restaurants, cafeterias, that kind of thing, so they have a two-tier model. Okay. Estimates are going up for them. The interesting thing is that for the year for the earnings per share, analysts are expecting a little bit less than what they made in 2009, which we haven't really seen with a lot of companies before. And I don't know if that's just because it was so good because the consumer was turning to the pastas and they don't think that'll be repeated because nothing in the underlying story is saying that there's anything else going on here. The volumes for this last quarter were up 2%. The company's exiting some markets where it was a little weaker. So, they have their business model under control. But the chart is kind of interesting. I put up the 5-year chart because they actually went public in 2007, and nobody cared about pasta at all the whole first year. And then suddenly, when the kind of global crisis started, the stock started taking off. And it looks high on this chart because it's only the 5-year chart, but the stock's trading about 11 times earnings, so it's not that expensive here, and it might, be an interesting value play here.
But one of their brands, Mrs. Grass, has been around for a long time.
Oh yeah. They just didn't go public until a couple years ago, so that's why you see the low chart. But yeah, these brands are well known.
Do you own either of these two?
I do not.
All right, check out other Zacks Rank Buy stock pick ideas on our homepage at Zacks.com. We put 4 new ideas up there for you each day, one in each of the investing categories that we write about on Zacks.com. Tracy's category, value, being one of them, and then there's momentum and aggressive growth and income. Up in that upper right-hand corner, right on our homepage at Zacks.com. With Tracy Ranick, I'm Terry Ruffalo.